What it is, people. Glad you came back. Let's get started. Alright, so this particular video is going to be about Admiralty and Maritime jurisdiction. Some of you guys haven't still caught on yet that there are invisible jurisdictions out there, and for a majority of you guys, you've existed in these courts, in these jurisdictions, since you were born. I mean, I was there too. So, what are they, where do they come from, and what does 1938 have to do with any of this and all of this? Okay, so the short boot camp version of it, because I know you guys don't want a long hour-and-a-half drawn-out video, right? Okay. Essentially, everything in the United States of America was under and operated under common law. So, like, common sense, which is not as common as it used to be. There's that. But everything was under common law, so common sense, essentially. The laws that had already been passed kind of set the precedent as to what they could do in the courts. So the short version is I think it was like Erie Railroad versus Tompkins or something like that. They decided that they were going to essentially switch jurisdictions, okay, because of that particular case. You can look it up if you want yourself. But the short of it is that they figured that certain things are under commercial jurisdiction and not common law jurisdiction. So commercial, aka maritime, aka Admiralty, okay, some even, you know, you can throw equity in there too. These were all the jurisdictions that they already were in existence, but they were adopted at that particular point in time. So essentially, for those people who have had some difficulties in utilizing some cases, and by this I mean like older cases, like anything before 1933 to 38, they won't recognize, because anything before then was considered to be and was in common law. And so now that they've switched jurisdictions, I mean, you know, back in 38 or whatever, judges won't hear it. They don't care. They're just like, nope, I can ignore it. I can set my own precedent. You know, so if you do utilize Supreme Court cases, anything, you have to use something, any cases that you are using, they have to be after 38 if they're going to recognize them. Now, of course, if you're operating in your own jurisdiction or whatever else, yeah, you've won in your jurisdiction, but remember, if you still have a foot in theirs, they're going to utilize that account against you, or at least against your sestike trust, your nom de guerre, which means your war name, your ens legis, okay, which essentially is not you, but you have to be able to argue that, because otherwise they're going to pass the buck down to some Leo, and you're going to have a knock on your door, because they're going to be like, well, this is you. You know what I mean? So, which has happened to some people. So you have to be able to argue more relevant, more current cases. You have to be able to utilize the newer cases and argue your point that you are not in fact, that name in all caps. So let's take a look at some things here. Over here. Right here. Alright, so Admiralty, hello, there we go, wakey. Alright, so Admiralty law, or maritime law, is the distinct body of law, both substantive and procedural, governing navigation and shipping. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why you're navigating on these commercial waterways. Your streets are navigable areas, obviously waters, lakes, oceans, rivers. Shipping, moving a product from one place to another. So look up what the word certificate means, and you're going to see that it's the exporting of a product from one jurisdiction to another, or just moving product. Shipping is just moving product from one dock to another dock. Okay, so everything they refer to in here Okay, let's just go on. So it says topics associated with this field in legal reference works may include shipping, navigation, waters, commerce, seamen, sorry kids, I mean actual men on ships, towage, wharves, not sure what that is, piers, docks, insurance. See, that one I didn't see before. Insurance. Insurance is Admiralty. Maritime liens, canals, and recreation. Going out for wreck, huh? Okay, so ship, also see piracy, something they know well about. Ship hijacking is also an aspect of Admiralty. Okay. The courts and Congress seek to create a uniform body of Admiralty law, both nationally and internationally, in order to facilitate commerce. So around the world, people, when I tell you that they're doing UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, ties in with this. Okay. The federal courts derive their exclusive jurisdiction over this field from the Judiciary Act of 1789. Okay, and from Article 3, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution. So all of them still get their power from underneath the Constitution. All right. American Admiralty law formerly applied only to American tidal waters. Formerly. Okay, so essentially that's why, like, some of these courthouses from the top, they will look like ships. Essentially, they're ships and dry docks. That's why your judges, magistrates, essentially are acting as captains of their own vessel. And when you walk in and they tell you to rise, they're essentially making, you know, their seamen or crewmen rise, or they're making dead bodies rise because they have the power to do so. You walk in through the swinging gate, you go actually in, and you are into their personal jurisdiction where it's now private, and they can rule pretty much any kind of way they want because you've given them sui juris, which is Latin for what do you call it? Jurisdiction over your body. Essentially, you're physically there, so I got you. Okay, so it now extends to any waters navigable within the United States for interstate, traveling on interstate, or foreign commerce. In such waters, Admiralty jurisdiction includes maritime matters not involving interstate commerce, including recreational boating. Okay? So I'm not going to read through the whole thing. I just want you guys to understand where this comes from, so let's get to it. Admiralty law in the United States developed from the British Admiralty courts present in most of the American colonies. These courts function separately from the courts of law and equity with the Judiciary Act, though Congress placed Admiralty under the jurisdiction of the federal district courts. Although Admiralty shares much in common with civil law, it is separate from it. Now, common law does not act as a binding precedent on Admiralty courts, but it and other law may be used when no law on point is available. Now, I won't go through all the rest of it, so just a quick blurb, guys, is that if you're going to do any type of background, support your case, situation, use something after 1938, realize what jurisdiction you're in. Now you guys know where this comes from. So, yeah, there's a lot more on here. This particular information comes from Cornell Law School, Legal Information Institute. You can just type in Admiralty and those words, and it'll bring you to this exact page. So do your own research. Learn what's going on. Who's got their fingers everywhere. All right, guys, that's about it. Don't forget to check out blackside32.com. Don't forget to support the other channel, the Badwolf media channel, and keep the donations coming in. Those have been a little light lately, guys. But everything else is going well, so we will continue to bring you more information. Talk to you guys later.